Do you believe light workers are meant to struggle financially, or is that a myth we need to break?
I strongly believe it's a myth, and I'm going to tell you why. I have seen empowered light workers. I have worked with them. They have six-figure businesses. They are thriving. They are top earners. Their heart is open. They are living with inspiration and truth and power and authenticity. And these people genuinely want to make the world a better place. They want to share healing. They want to share life. So, of course, they deserve to have more abundance and resources to do that.
Do spiritual people feel less emotional pain, according to you?
If you're doing spirituality properly, you should be happy most of the time. And in my experience, the people that end up in spirituality are actually the people that have experienced complex trauma. And it was, in many scenarios, their pain that awakened them to something deeper.
Sorina Iliana is a success coach, mindset mentor, and energy healer who guides awakened leaders through deep emotional and energetic transformation using bioenergetics and Simra healing. If you are an author ready to self publish or share your voice with the world, visit blazegoldburst.com, your portal to publishing, visibility, and global impact. Also, support this movement by diving into Lords or Inner Children by Gita Shripani and Reversed Order Existence by Blaze Goldburst.
Welcome to the show. What does it truly mean to be a light worker in today's world?
I believe that in order to truly be a light worker in today's world, we need to heal ourselves fully. And in order to fully spread that light, we need to fill our own cup first. And by filling that cup until it overflows, then we share that healing, we share that light, we share that mission, we share that joy with the world. So, in one word, healing, true lasting healing of our blocks.
The audience would like to know more about your background. Can you tell more about it?
Of course, my background is in the studies of psychology and also the studies of bioenergetics. I had the amazing opportunity to be the main apprentice of an incredibly gifted master that was initiated in Tibet by the Tibetan monks into the last initiation of Prana Nadi. And then she returned to Romania, where I'm from. She created the Simra school, and she also initiated me in this incredible technique. And that's how I started sharing energy work. And then I combined it with coaching and talk therapy, and I created my own system and my own technique, merging these different modalities to create powerful healings and powerful transformations.
So, can you share more about your first experience of spiritual awakening?
Of course, I was in a group setting, and the Simra master that I told you about was doing a profound group meditation. It was titled Release the Blocks from the Past. I also translated it in English, and I can offer it as a gift to whoever is listening today and would like to have that type of transformation. And I was listening to this meditation, and I started having tears running from my eyes, and I felt this profound transformation as if my heart opened like a lotus flower blooming. And I felt this interconnectedness, and I felt years of depression and anxiety just fading away from me, just like that, with one energetic shift. And I tried before traditional talk therapy, and I felt misunderstood, maybe even misguided. And then here, I was with this master, and I didn't even have to ask the questions. It's like she knew what I was thinking about. She knew what was inside my heart. She knew what I had gone through because she was doing the energy readings with so much accuracy. And I was so impressed that I wanted to do that myself.
So, do you also read energies?
Yes,
Like
I do.
how? Like how?
Okay, so in order to read energies, you need to attune to a person's auric field. This can be done in person or remotely. I also have a course for that, which will be available on my website shortly. So If you do it in person, there is this technique called aura combing, in which you take both of your hands and you scan the client's auric field. You want to have around this distance between their body and your hands, and you scan them. And if your palms are well exercised with energy, you're going to feel like currents or a tingling. And with your hands directly, you're going to feel the decrease or increase or certain energies in certain areas. And then if you go to more advanced level, you're going to receive downloads of, okay, this client has this limiting belief. This client has this trauma. This is the age that it all started from. And of course, you ask for confirmation to what you are receiving. And then if you do it remotely, well, it's basically the same procedure, is that this happens in the realm of your mind. Everything
So
happens.
what kind of energy do you experience right now?
Well, from you, I receive a beautiful, optimistic energy. I see that you're growing something amazing here with your channel, that you are well anchored in your spirituality, that you have done the inner work.
Okay. So when did you realize you were a light worker?
I think I was around 19 years old. I had just been receiving the first initiation in Simra, and I was reading all this literature, from the spirituality realm about Saint Germain, about Jesus, about all these ascended masters and what they were capable of doing. And Sophia's Codes, I'm not sure if you know about the book with the women ascended masters and what they were capable of doing. And that awakened in me this longing and nostalgia of like, wow, the human mind and spirit is capable of such amazing things. Like, we are multidimensional beings having an experience on this planet, and we can achieve limitless opportunities with our energies, with our minds, with our bodies. And that was my awakening.
So my next question, do you believe light workers are meant to struggle financially, or is that a myth we need to break?
I strongly believe it's a myth, and I'm going to tell you why. I have seen empowered light workers. I have worked with them. They have six-figure businesses. They are thriving. They are top earners. Their heart is open. They are living with inspiration and truth and power and authenticity. And these people genuinely want to make the world a better place. They want to share healing. They want to share life. So, of course, they deserve to have more abundance and resources to do that. And we all have a duty and responsibility to break this myth and break free from our own scarcity mindset and limitations and achieve our next level of health and wealth.
Have you broken your limitations also?
Yes, I strongly believe that. I have signed premium 5-figure contracts with several clients across the world. I work internationally for 7 years now. I recently hired a business mentor that is a multimillionaire that is sharing the best strategy for me to grow this year even more. And I'm excited to be here and share some of that energy with you all, because I'm also clearing abundance blocks in people's auric fields. And that is particularly exciting to notice people having their first 10,000 month, their first 6,000 month. And the way I did it personally, when I first had I think it was a 6,000 euros month, it was an energetic process. I did the bioenergetics on myself. I did some meditations, and then I manifested it. So it all started with the energy first. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an energy healer.
Do you believe in karma?
Yes.
In what way do you believe? Can you share more about it?
I also believe in past lives. So I strongly believe that we are the effect of the actions that we took in this life and also in the previous ones. And if you read about it in the book of Saint Germain, there are actually alchemical techniques that we can all burn our karma using the violet flame. And it's an actual alchemical procedure explained in the book. Well, the book has around 500 pages, but I highly recommend it. It's a very interesting read. And through this constant meditation and alchemical process, we can burn our karma and also burn the collective karma, because this is a co-creation. And we have the responsibility to raise the frequency on the entire planet.
Has your third eye opened?
I believe so. And an interesting fact is that in Simra Bioenergetics, we don't directly work on the third eye, because my master witnessed actually somebody in Tibet whose third eye opening was so intense that they actually fainted. So it was like something like in Doctor Strange, when she touches the third eye, she witnessed something like that. And she told us that only in special occasions we work on people's third eye. So yes, I would say that my third eye is pretty open. I had my fair share of extrasensory experience with seeing auric fields, having astral projections. So my answer would
You
be
have
yes.
astral projected also
Yes.
many times. Can you share one experience?
Yes. I was in my countryside in the Romanian mountains, and I had an astral projection, and I was suddenly at the seaside and then going deeper and deeper inside the ocean. And then another one, I astral projected into this very room of the apartment that I'm in. I don't have that many. I think there are under 10. But I have purchased 3 courses about mastering astral projection. It's actually one of my goals for this year. Yes.
What about Akashic records?
I don't have a vast experience in Akashic records. I know people that can tap in instantly. That was not my mission. So I don't have a direct experience with Akashic records, but I know some amazing facilitators in that area that can just look at you and tap in an instant.
So, are you also working on your mediumship skills?
I studied a channeling module in the Simra school, and I have a group of friends, and we do meetups, and we sometimes do channeling together. So I would say yes, I have experience with channeling and mediumship.
How can someone recognize their light worker calling, especially if they're in a 9 to 5 job?
Okay, so I would say the best way to do that is to listen to your heart and to find out what your true mission is, because you might want to serve in a way and provide a certain type of value, a certain type of skill set. Maybe you want your voice to be heard. Maybe there's a technique or a book or an ancient practice that wants to be reenacted through you. So it's very unique, it's very individual, and these types of callings exist inside our hearts. So if people take their time to journal, to listen to their inner calling, and then most importantly, have the bravery to take the lead, then the rest is history.
How can someone recognize that they are a light worker in the first place?
Well, for me personally, I was told by many people that just by talking to me, they would experience this sense of relief and that they would feel truly seen and understood. And that's what made me study psychology. And also with bioenergetics, I feel like it found me. Like there are these divine synchronicities, that you just arrive in one place, you meet that one person, you receive that information, and suddenly you are part of something bigger. And I've seen it happening in multiple people's lives in which they just arrived in the right time, in the right place, and they had this type of awakening. And then they just knew.
So, what do you feel about angel numbers?
I think angel numbers can be part of science. I personally think that they're starting to be a bit overrated at the moment. So I know numerology is real. I know angel numbers are real and all of that. And I love when I see angel numbers, I see them everywhere. However, I feel like there are more profound messages that the universe is giving us every day. And we need to look within to find them as well as externally.
So, my next question is it possible for light workers to fully embrace wealth without feeling guilty or misaligned?
Yes, I believe it's absolutely possible. And I strongly believe that our next level of wealth is our next level of health. Because once we address this core energetic wounding that we have, around scarcity mindset, that we don't deserve it, that it's selfish, that we shouldn't go for it, that it's too much, like, oh, who is going to pay me that much? Is my time really worth it? And all of that, it opens a whole new area that we can work on our self-worth, self-love, self-respect, and truly charge our worth. So not only it is possible, it is our responsibility to take that leap.
But there is a lot of backlash in the spiritual community when it comes to
When it comes to selling your services.
I have personally experienced that as well because I had very powerful testimonials since the very beginning of my career, these really powerful results. And there were a lot of people that were asking for pro bono work. And don't get me wrong, I've always done some sessions pro bono here and there for people that genuinely couldn't afford it. But most of my work, most of my sessions and program are paid services, premium services with VIP options and very limited spots. And the answer that I have for that is we are not meant to save everyone. That would be entering the savior role. And that is part of the toxic triangle of the savior, the victim, and the abuser. And we don't want to go that. We don't want to go into savior mode. We want to help who we can. And in everything, there needs to be an exchange. So an exchange of energy.
are you also a Reiki practitioner?
Yes, so the interesting thing about Simra is that it incorporates elements from Prana Nadi and Reiki as well, and reconnection. And I've also incorporated elements of shamanism into it, of Munaiki to be specific. So it's a combination of really powerful tools. It's an advanced technique.
So I have a curious question. Do you also get dreams like that feel very real?
Yes, I have very vivid dreams and I have had lucid dreams as well.
And do you get any kind of downloads also from the
Yes,
spirit
so
itself?
for instance, I saw these very beautiful nature scenery places in my dreams, and then I got to experience them in real life. And there were a couple of times that I even had some premonitory dreams, and I was dreaming elements of actions or things that were then about to happen to me.
Why do so many spiritual people have a complicated relationship with money?
I would say it could be because of our upbringing and because of all the limiting beliefs that we keep hearing starting from a very, very early age, that money doesn't grow on trees, that money makes you a bad person, that the moment you start accumulating wealth, you get greedy and you just want more and more and more, and all of that. And what I have to say against that is that money is energy, it is completely neutral, and money makes us more of what we already are. So if you're a generous person, you're going to be an abundant, generous person. And that's going to make the world a better place.
So do you believe in law of attraction
Yes, I do.
or law of karma more?
I believe in both of them. And there is actually a documentary in which all these laws of the universe are stated. And there are 12 laws in total, and they work together. So people, when they talk about it in The Secret, they talk about the law of attraction only. And the truth is that there are multiple laws. So I can't say I believe in the law of attraction more or in karma more. I believe in both of them as part of this ecosystem of universal laws that we need to be aware of and follow them all.
So there is a belief that spiritual people have less friends or they are lonely. What is your opinion about it?
I think it doesn't need to happen. So, for instance, just recently, less than 2 weeks ago, I've been to Poland to this amazing retreat and I met amazing people. And we all did biking roads together, hiking, amazing activities, yoga daily, meditation. And it was amazing. And I was to many retreats here in Romania and also some abroad, in which I connected to this really amazing individuals. So I don't think that spiritual people have to be lonely in any shape or form. I have my group of friends, my circle, and I love them. Um, I really appreciate having them in my life, and I feel like we, as beings, are an interdependent species. So we are meant to be connected with others, and I don't think there needs to be this solitude. This could be a reaction to a certain childhood wound that was not fully healed or an avoidance mechanism, but it's not naturally this way.
How can light workers heal their wounds or limiting beliefs about abundance?
So for that, I would say start with the energetics, like I did, and that can also be accompanied by mindset activities like mindset shifting, mindset coaching. Mentoring really helps, and there are ways in which you can transition from different limiting beliefs like the money is never enough to an expansive belief like the money is more than enough always.
What is your opinion about witchcraft, money spells, and all that?
I'm against it personally. I don't feel like that's necessary, and this would be a violation to the natural laws because, like I said, everything is an exchange, right? And when we talk of a spell, we're basically expecting an instant transmutation in which we offer close to nothing and then we want an instant something. So I would say I'm against spells, but I am pro rituals of manifestation, like
Like,
crystals, even lighting up a candle in a new moon ritual for women and then writing your intentions down on a paper and making it really sacred, really ceremonial, how shamanic journeys and all of that. I approve of that.
and affirmations also.
Yes, of course, I approve of affirmations.
What are the first energetic shifts someone should make to begin attracting financial flow?
Okay, I will give a powerful example. I was in the Romanian mountains with 10 pounds to my name. So I was completely broke. I had no idea what I was going to do next. I had just returned from UK. And I did this exercise every day, this one exercise with water charging. And I would hold a glass of water in between my hands for 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, I would charge the glass of water with the frequency of abundance. Because as you know, water has memory and has a specific frequency. So I would think of all the abundance things that I could think of, and I would feel gratitude for the abundance that I already have. And you might think to yourself, well, you had like 10 pounds. What abundance did you have exactly? And I was also homeless, but I had an abundance of nature. I had an abundance of support from my friends. I had an abundance of gifts that I could share with the world. I had an abundance of time. I was young. I had an abundance of many things. So I focused on everything that I was already having and on the breadth of practice. And I started offering my sessions donation based. And in no time, I sold my first 200 euros package. And then that 200 euros package turned into a 2000 euros package. And the rest is history.
Can you walk us through a manifestation ritual or practice you use to align with abundance?
Yes, of course. So I would like to invite the audience to close their eyes, to attune to their solar plexus chakra, and set the intention for the deepest abundance as I will be collectively working on the energy field. And I want you to see, sense, and feel how you are attuning to a pillar of golden lights. And in that pillar of light, everything is possible and all dreams do come true. This pillar of light is multidimensional. And it's now starting to clear your abundance blocks across all time, space, dimensions, and realities. And in this pillar of light, I want you to visualize, sense, and see how you are meeting your most abundant higher self in the most abundant timeline, and you receive one message from that higher self. And I invite everybody to share that message that they received in the comments. And after you have received your message, knowing that you can return to the pillar of light anytime, you can slowly return to the present moment and gently open your eyes.
So, this is part of hypnosis.
I use element of mild hypnosis, yes.
Do you believe money has its own energy or consciousness? If so, how should light workers approach it?
Yes, I strongly believe that money is energy. And like I said previously, money is a neutral energy and should be approached with compassion, excitement, the childlike enthusiasm of, wanting to have more in an innocent way and getting clear on what you want it for. So not wanting money for the sake of money, but perhaps having a vision board with exactly what you want to buy with it, the courses you want to invest in, the house you want to live in, and all of that.
What's the biggest manifestation myth you see in the spiritual community?
So I see that a lot of people believe that in order to manifest, they need to do shadow work. And to an extent, somatic re-experiencing is necessary. To an extent, diving deep into the shadow is necessary. But what I notice in the community is a lot of people that are trapped in shadow work loops, in trauma loops, in victimhood consciousness, and they just find wound after wound after wound that don't fully heal. So ultimately, they remain in the victim consciousness, and by doing too much of this somatic experiencing, too much of this shadow work, they not only make their manifestations go even further away, but they don't heal. They just, in Romanian, we have a saying, they add salt to the wound. So ultimately, they make it more painful.
What is shadow work according to you?
According to me, shadow work is a process in which you face the aspects inside of you that are not healed yet. You face your trauma, you face your childhood aspects, your inner child. You face everything inside of you that is not how you want it to be yet.
So, do spiritual people feel less emotional pain according to you?
I would say if you're doing spirituality properly, you should be happy most of the time. And in my experience, the people that end up in spirituality are actually the people that have experienced complex trauma. And it was, in many scenarios, their pain that awakened them to something deeper. But for now, they have a choice. They don't need to no longer learn from the suffering.
Have you undergone any kind of pain, emotional pain, that made you a spiritual person?
Yes, I had my fair share experience with trauma. I'm a survivor of complex trauma. I have healed PTSD, anxiety, and depression completely holistically. And I stand here today as a testimony that healing is possible, healing can be complete.
Can you share more about it?
Yes. So I had my, let's say, my dark night of the soul, in which everything felt dull and tiring, and I lost myself, and I would have extreme body pains and anxiety attacks, extreme body pains to the degree of fibromyalgia, if not more. So I would cry out of body pains, these mysterious body pains. I would cry because of them. And because of them, I would have such intense anxiety attacks because of the body pains that once I even fainted from an anxiety attack. I was home alone, thought I was going to die. And I woke up like 3 hours later, and I was surprised, genuinely surprised that I'm still alive. I'm like, oh, I'm not dead. I'm still here. And then I did the inner work. I did the talk therapy, but I did it properly. I did the somatic re-experiencing. I did the shadow work. I faced these aspects of myself. Like, I did it properly. I didn't get stuck in the trauma. I didn't get stuck in the victim consciousness. I had the right mentors. I had this amazing teacher, Aurora Tsiperush, that I told you about in the beginning of the interview. I had I think, my Qigong master. I had many mentors and the right approach and support to navigate through all of this intensity and find my way on the other side.
Has psychology helped you understand spirituality better?
Yes, of course. And what I like to do is I like to merge the science with the woo. So I like to make it both scientific and spiritual in the same time, because most people function like that, and we need best of both worlds. That's what I believe in.
What's your definition of aligned wealth?
My definition of alignment is pure flow, synchronicity, serendipity, being in the right place in the right time. So I actually have a tattoo called Sri Yantra. And I think you know that it's sacred geometry for being in the right place in the right time. And they actually made a big drawing of this symbol on a desert, and the soil became more alkaline. And then there were certain plants that started growing there after that. So that symbol would be my definition of alignment.
And aligned wealth?
My definition of aligned wealth is something that feels expansive. So remember how I told you the story of how I transformed a service that was donation based into a service that was 2,000 euros and more. That a service that is now a premium service. So aligned wealth is when it feels expansive, when you don't burn out, when you don't question yourself, when you don't get tired, when you are excited about sharing your gift into the world, your service, your product, whatever it is. And that is not something that takes something away from you. It's something that gives you more and more and more.
Do you believe in Vastu, like placement of objects in a certain direction that will bring prosperity
Yes.
or not?
Yes, I have a book about it at home. It's real. I was very skeptical about it. I have to say it's real. It works.
How can light workers balance spiritual service with creating sustainable income?
So you need to know your worth. You need to step into a journey of self-love, self-respect, and self-worth so that you don't burn out, you don't undercharge, and you have a healthy balance between your work and leisure time.
Is there a difference between manifesting from the ego and manifesting from soul alignment?
Yes, of course. So manifesting from the ego hardly works. And even when it does, it can feel dull, empty, and unsatisfying when you actually get what you thought you wanted. As from the soul alignment, that's when the entire universe conspires in your favor. And I'll give a specific example. I was walking one day and one of my sandals broke. There were no cabs around, and Uber was not a thing then in my country. There were no shops to buy new sandals. And suddenly a lady appears and asks me, "What is your shoe size?" I tell her. And then 5 minutes later, she returns with my size of sandals for me and she just hands them to me. And I was with a friend and they said, "I have never seen this in my entire life." And I say, "Well, this is the Simra alignment. If you hang out with me more, this is all you're going to see from now on." So this is an example of soul alignment.
What are some ethical ways light workers can create income from their gifts without burnout?
So, of course, they can be service providers. They can create beautiful products because a lot of these people have an artistic side and they are creators. They can share healing modalities, coaching, and as soon as they have the element that we talked about previously, which is the right structure, the right systems, and also the right systems within the self-love, the knowingness, the intuition, the guidance. So to listen to their heart and to follow that joy in which direction it takes them, have the right system in place, and love themselves enough to not burn out.
Also, how can they find buyers if they are starting out?
Okay, so how it went for me personally, I use social media. And the moment when I started, I just had these synchronicities happen to me. Like I offered a session to somebody and then she offered to grow my Instagram for me. Or I met with someone, he was a lead generator, and then he included me in his LinkedIn lead generation for mindset coaching. Or I met someone, he's doing Facebook ads, and now suddenly we're doing a collaboration. So I get to pay very little for the entire cost of the marketing expenses. Or I had these incredible synchronistic collaborations with people across the years. And if people are starting out and they want to sell a service online, have great testimonials. Make sure that your service is truly powerful. So take your time to learn what you're offering and to become a true expert in it, and have great testimonials. And then share yourself out there. So use social media platforms, use this type of events, podcasts, be out there. I once was invited on Romanian television to talk about my experience. So you can actively search for these opportunities, but for me, it just happened. It was a synchronistic flow of events that just happened.
So you basically networked with the right people.
Yes, yes, in the right time, like my tattoo.
So my next question is, how can healers and empaths build a business that feels expansive and not draining?
So I would say lead from the heart and see exactly, create your schedule in a way that fits the lifestyle that you want to have. So for instance, I'm free to travel all over the world because I work internationally. And I make my schedule so I can decide, okay, today I work maximum 4 hours, tomorrow I work maximum 6 hours, the day after tomorrow I don't work at all. There's a lot of flexibility involved in being an entrepreneur, but you also need to keep in mind that you are your own boss. So either mentoring to have this right strategy, business strategy ahead of you and the right systems in place, or also you can use the intuition from within or combining them both. That's what I would say. But yes, for me, the right mentorship really changed everything.
Do you think light workers have a responsibility to be financially empowered? Why or why not?
Yes, I strongly believe that they have a responsibility to be financially empowered because, like I said in the beginning of the interview, it's the good people that should be holding the wealth. It's the people that genuinely want to make good in the world, that care about others, that are really sensitive, that are empaths, that are clairvoyant, clairsentient. These are the people that we want to see reach in today's time. And this is why I love working with these facilitators that are 5 figures at 6 figures in their business and they want to achieve their next level of health and wealth. And I help them energetically, I help them mentally, I help them emotionally to embody this wealth frequency and expand it so that they can hold more of that without fear of losing it, without getting anxious, knowing that this is their birthright, that this is what they truly deserve, that they own it.
Are there different types of light workers, according to you?
Yes, I wouldn't be necessarily putting things into categories, but I would say this is like Myers-Briggs, when you have the 16 personality types. I think light workers are the same. Like there are so many types of light workers. Some are healers, some are readers, some are intuitives, some are astrologers, some are very connected to the land, and they are farmers and growing all these amazing fruits and vegetables. Some are creating products, like necklaces made out of crystal, sacred geometry. So there are so many types of light workers and so many elements to their creations.
What is your opinion about star seeds or people who call themselves as star seeds?
I think it's legit. Also, there is no way to prove or not prove if somebody is a starseed or not, But many people can feel they have a resonance to certain planets and that they have come here to raise a frequency. However, if people feel like, oh, I do not belong to Earth, or I do not belong to this planet, or I come from this distant realm, from a psychological standpoint, it can mean that they don't have roots and they don't have belonging and they have a long history of being misunderstood. And this needs to be, of course, addressed psychologically. But from a spiritual standpoint, I think it's beautiful that we have now this awareness like, okay, we have past lives and we have past multiple planets. So there are more options here than we considered previously of just being reincarnated on Earth. Like it just became more interesting. With that being said, like there's a whole Pandora's box opening right there. And for that, I have read Robert Shapiro, and he's great in detailing this list of planets and different types of belongings and origins. And I don't remember the title, but it's truly eye-opening in many ways.
Also, is mediumship real, according to you?
Yes, however, I believe that the real mediumship is really rare, like very rare. And the people that are truly good in mediumship are rarely the people that we see, out there in the spotlight.
What opinion do you have about mentalist?
Well, that's another cup of tea, because mentalists use psychological input in order to. Mentalist is more like a magic trick for psychologists nerds. That's what I believe about it.
So that's very much different from mediumship.
Yes, that's very much different from it because true mediumship requires a skill set, a sixth sense, an ability to channel and connect. So to give you an example of true mediumship, me and my high school friend had a colleague that died in high school. And he was very skeptical about this whole spiritual thing. So he went to this teacher, the master that I told you about that was initiated in Tibet. And then she started describing him. And she said some things that only he would have known. And my skeptical friend was convinced. So this is true mediumship.
How can light workers price their services confidently without fear of judgment or selling out?
So, because we're an interdependent species, there is always a part of us that cares about what other people think. But I'm here to tell you that the right people are not going to care. The right people are not going to care. And sometimes it is easier to sell a service that's 20,000 euros than it is to sell a service that's 20 euros.
So, usually, according to you, what age group should be the target audience for selling services like light worker services or something like that?
So now thinking about it, I don't really have an age group. So I work with people in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, even in their 60s. I never really had an age group. I need to talk with my business mentor about it and say, hey, like what is my age group? What is my target audience age group? And ask.
Do women come more or men come more?
My personal experience has been working more with women.
And why is it so? Do men don't believe in it much or are they preoccupied with something else?
I think men also believe in it, and I think it's just how it happened for me personally, in the way I branded it and what people resonate with. But of course, there are a lot of spiritual men out there.
What role does generosity play in abundance? Can giving too much block financial flow?
So, on the one hand, we know that in order to receive, we need to give something. And in the books of Lazarev, a very powerful parapsychologist, he says, if you want to receive, give. Give something and you shall receive. However, on the other hand, if you give too much, of course, you are going to burn out. And as long as you know your boundaries and your limits, you can give and be generous, but not to the detriment of yourself. So as long as it's not to the detriment of yourself, you're on track.
What happens when you give to the wrong people?
Well, for that, you use your intuition in order to avoid that scenario altogether. You use that gut feeling in the solar plexus. Remember the meditation we did today? People, you close your eyes, you connect with your solar plexus, and you ask yourself, is this the right person to give? And then you find your answer from your gut, from your intuition.
So giving to the wrong people won't increase abundance, right?
I mean, imagine if you give money to someone and they buy drugs with it or they do something harmful with it. I don't understand with what universal law that would work in your favor in any way.
And if you give alcohol to someone on the street and say drink it as much as you want,
It is an act of generosity indeed. I'm not sure how much it will increase your manifestations. And I think the true generosity is the one in which you are able to give, and you're not doing it in order to, play by the rules of the universe and be like, okay, I'm going to be generous now in order to receive. I feel like true generosity comes from the heart. So if you want to share a bottle of alcohol with a random stranger on the street, then so be it. If that person like really wants to drink and really wants the
but it
bottle.
might be harmful for his health also.
Yes, however, I do not recommend it. I do not
If
recommend
it
it.
causes harm, then it cannot grow abundance, right? What if he lands to the hospital the next day?
Yes, exactly. It does not harness abundance necessarily.
So only good things should be shared.
Yes.
Like if you can give someone a job or
Ye-
facilitate them in some way.
Yes, or a meal or a piece of advice, things like this.
So how do you recognize people that pretend to be spiritual?
I wouldn't say that in my experience I have seen that many people pretending to be spiritual, but I have seen this elitism of the spiritual people consciousness. And I would like to share a lesson of being humble, that we need to be humble no matter how far we are on the vibrational scale. And we need to be humble no matter how many literature, how many spiritual books we read, how many inner processes we had, because ultimately we are all humans and we should not be divided, because the whole thing is about light workers. They're meant to bring people together and create something higher, not divide in any way.
Because in the digital age, people pretend to be something they're not in order to get attention.
Mhm.
Like, for example, if someone comes into your life, they will pretend to be someone you will appreciate or like, but
Mhm.
you won't be able to recognize that, right? Instantly.
Yes, of course.
They can make you a fool as well. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so I didn't have a personal experience with people pretending to be spiritual, but I had a personal experience with spiritual elitism.
Can you tell more about it?
Yes, so people that believe they are somehow higher or above because of their knowledge, because of their skills, and because they belong to the spiritual movement. And I want to say, no, we are all the same. We are all people. We're all humans, and we deserve the same regardless of our spiritual beliefs, our religious standpoints, regardless of what we know or don't know. We're here to be united, not divided based on our beliefs.
What does a financially empowered light worker look like to you, and how do they show up in the world?
Well, they're happy and they create a happier world because, they don't think of where's the next money going to come from. They are already financially empowered. They are probably inspired, creating their new program or project, maybe traveling the world or, really experiencing the true freedom that we experience as children, that type of excitement, that childlike joy. And I like this vision, and this is exactly what I want to co create and share that more with people. This is why I incorporated this abundance energetic work into my programs so I can empower people to reach more of that vibe and more of that frequency.
Have you done your inner child healing completely?
Well, I would say completely is a big word, but I have done a lot of it.
What's your vision for a world where light workers are wealthy, abundant, and leading from the heart?
That's really powerful because that would be a healthier world. So if you look at the world right now, most of the people are not happy with their jobs. They're not living their mission. They're not even happy with what they're doing. Most of the people are not healthy. They have at least one disease. And when we look at their emotions, most of the people are not happy. So they can be suffering from one or multiple disorders. So in this vision, in this world, most of the people are happy and their children are happy. And we lead by example and we create a different world. So that's what I want to see.
So, can such a world be achieved?
Yes, I believe so, but it's going to take some years for sure.
How many years, according to you?
I would say hundreds of years. I would say, yes, several hundred years because there's this theory, the theory of the 100 monkey. What at least this is what it's called in Romanian. It's called the theory of the critical mass. So once a pattern of consciousness reaches a critical mass, and it can spread easier. So we need that happiness to reach the critical mass, that embodiment, that awakening, that abundance, that mindset. And after that, it can spread. So yes, I would say several hundred years.
So, my final question: how can the audience connect with you, follow your work, or book a session with you?
My website will be ready. My new website will be ready in this week, and I will share it here in the comments. And also the gifts that I promised for the entire audience, release the blocks from the past, the meditation that personally changed my life. I'm going to drop it here in the comments. And until then, you can find me on my Facebook page, Sorina Iliana. SORINA.
Thank you so much for joining the show.
You are most welcome. Thank you for inviting me and have a magical day.